Oh, didn't see you there. Well, now that you're here, I can let you know about today's skills and drills. Well, in this one, I'm back in Teasdale, Utah with Buck of Followthrough Consulting, where, saying it in plain language, he teaches me how to get into the prone position with my rifle and hit a 6 to 12 inch target 300 to 500 yards away in under 3 seconds. Now, this all seems very simple when I say it out loud, and technically it is simple. It's just not easy, but it really isn't easy at all, especially when you start trying to hit doubles. And by doubles, what I mean is literally shooting twice so that both bullets are in the air at the same time and hitting the target twice. Now, the gun I'm using is a Daniel Defense MK12 1 of 1. Now that 1 of 1 designation may change here in the near future if you catch my drift. And the ammo that I'm using is a 70 grain Nosler RDF 223556. And I'm running, as far as a scope, a 3-18 Loophole Mark 5 HD with a TMR reticle. I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys learn.
All right, so a lot of people, when they think shooting from a prone position, i.e. laying on your stomach and shooting, kind of evokes this idea of just very calm and relaxing kind of shooting style. But there is a way to kind of add a performance component to it where I can get into a prone position from kneeling and be able to get on a target at 300 to 400 yards away and shoot very quickly under time. And I've never really thought about that, honestly, until I talked to you about it. So what does that look like? Because it seems simple. Just get behind the gun and you pull the trigger as fast as you can.
Right. So in my uniform days, my experience was, we were trained to shoot a rifle setup like this, but the instruction always started from the prone position. When we started deploying and whatnot, not to get too long of a war story or whatnot, it's just that it never started that way. It started with you carrying it, walking, coming out of a truck, so on and so forth. And what happened is, what I noticed is myself and my peers and teammates, there was a lack of understanding of how to get set or get into your position. We just didn't train enough in that, in that process of getting it behind a gun, getting a good solid position to shoot. I said, well, what's the baseline do I want to establish for getting set into the gun? And we sit here and go over 1,000 scenarios, coming out of a truck, walking this way, so on. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna start from the knees and get into the prone and engage target. Not going down a rabbit hole, there's a way or a method that I've developed that works for me, and I've seen it works for other people, of how you can get behind that gun from kneeling to prone and shoot up to 500 meters under 3 seconds, okay? And so it's a process that I go through, and I'll break it down for you real quick, but just know we're doing this for a half hour to an hour, but there's a lot of dry practice that goes into it, just like it does with a pistol and a rifle.
Before you finish watching this video, a word from our sponsor. Have you ever thought about making a living in the firearms industry? If you enjoy gun repair, ballistics, and learning about firearms, Sonoran Desert Institute's online courses might just be a good fit for you. To find out more, visit sdi.edu or call 480-999-4767 today.
Initially what I'll do is I'll identify my target. I have a target out here at 350 yards. Then I'll set my gun up. I'm just going to line it up. I got my rear bag ready to go. And then from there I'm going to initially get into prone, get behind the gun, and look at the target. Okay, I see the target. I got my position, my rear bag, and I'm good. I'm not going to set it up so it's like perfect. I just want to make sure I'm in line. So from there, I'm coming up. But when I come back up, I'm going to keep my knees in place. I kind of establish a kind of neat reference for my knees to get in that position. Now again, this is the baseline of just getting set in the gun. You come up with 1,000 ways of how or where I would come in, but this is kind of the baseline I set. Okay, from there, I'll use a timer, have me initiate or execute the drill, and the whole time I'm gonna keep my eye on a target. So I see my target, I'm gonna keep it there. The buzzer goes off, I'm gonna come down, and with my non-firing hand, I'm gonna just brace myself coming down, and immediately with my firing hand, establish that grip. And once I have that grip, I'll come down and adjust, I'll load in my bipods, and from there, connect. And once I have that connection in the load, I'll come down with my non-firing hand, with the rear bag, keep my eye still on the target, naked eye, drop it to my dot, red dot, my delta point, dots on a target, and then from there, I drop into my glass. And I'm just 2 mils from right over the target for my hold. I'm gonna adjust my rear bag, I'm there. Eyes on the target, buzzer goes off, now firing hand comes down, braces, firing hand grabs the grip, I load into the bipods, I connect, now firing hand goes in my rear bag, my eyes are still on the target, I drop into my delta point, red dot's on the target, drop it to my glass, I'm just a 1/2 mil this time, I'm just gonna squeeze up in my bag just a touch and engage. The 3 things I'm concerned with going down mechanically is that grip, that load, connection, and then visually, my naked eye's on the target the whole time. I'll drop to my glass with the red dot. The red dot's gonna assure that I'm gonna be within the field of view of my optic, the Mark V, and when I drop in, right there and go. And another thing you can do is just play with your magnification. The less magnification you can use in this type of drill, the better, but again, it'll differ from everyone because some people aren't comfortable with certain magnifications. Like I can go down to a 6 with this TMR reticle and be fine out the range. But that's essentially it. So the key with doubles is, for me, what works best for me is I like to maintain finger to trigger continuity the whole time. That means my finger's not coming off the trigger at all. I'm not pinning the trigger, I'm just flowing with it,
Gotcha.
okay? It'd be like kind of like dribbling, like if you just dribble like that, okay? Or you just kind of, how far?
Or low kind of.
Exactly. So again, what works best for me is just maintain the finger trigger continuity throughout the whole engagement. See how we progress. First, we progress to, we started off with shooting reactionary 1 shot for every side picture, and you're putting 2 down range and high 6s, okay? You get hits. And see how we progressively, got more into the mechanics of the movement, getting set in the gun, having that grip, load, and connection, and then the visual aspects of making sure your aiming solution is where you want it on a target. And then the final part of the mechanics is that trigger figure, So there's a lot that goes into it, and you got to break down the process. So when I draw practice at the house, the most of what I focus on is the grip, loading, and connection.
Gotcha.
And then I'll put like a black little 1-inch circle on the wall, and I'll just drop to my red dot. That's all I concern with. If I got that down, everything else will come. And then with the trigger, that's just you just getting used to squeezing that trigger twice, or pressing, or whatever you want to call it. But it's just being familiar with the gun, but you have to do it, you have to dry practice with this the same way, a competitive shooter or a CCW shooter is going to dry practice with their pistol and or rifle. So it's just another emphasis, or something that's not emphasized with this kind of rifle setup or weapon setup, like it is with a pistol or rifle with red dot. But I mean, if you're not doing it at home, you're not going to come out here and miraculously just start shooting doubles.
It's weird because it's the times when I think I'm moving fast, I'm actually slower.
Yeah.
And then the times when I'm moving, but I feel like I'm moving a little bit slower, but everything else is done fluid, then I end up being faster. It's a weird mind trick. It's weird how
I try to use the word efficient. I just want to be efficient with my mechanics and everything about the whole process. If you're efficient, the speed it comes.
You know how frightening it is to think about what happens in the moments before, during, and even days after having to use your gun in self-defense? When you first start carrying a gun for protection, it can be a very scary and nerve-wracking experience, especially if you haven't gotten the education and training you need to feel confident. I've been there myself, hoping I never have to go through a self-defense shooting, which is why I'm a member of the USCCA. As a USCCA member, you can eliminate some of the stress of carrying a gun for protection by accessing the amazing wealth of firearm education, training, and current state-specific gun laws of your state or states you may travel to. This can help you be prepared for or hopefully even avoid a self-defense incident. As a bonus, members automatically become insured on the self-defense liability insurance policy purchased by and issued to the USCCA. Click below to learn more. Guns aren't political. That's why I need your help getting this message to spread on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think of the video, then subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, click that bell symbol. For products featured in this video, click the links in the description.